The verb saber in Spanish means to know, but it's not used the same way as it's used in English. In English, we use the verb to know in many different ways, including knowing factual information, how to do something, and knowing people, places, and things in general. Spanish, however, encompasses only some of the things I've listed, and so the language creates two verbs for the verb to know, and in this video, I will only cover the verb saber. Rather than explain the verb how most teachers explain it, I would like to give it a different definition by saying that the verb means to know how to do something or knowing factual information, and it actually has the same concept as the verb ser, which means to be. The syntax of saber follows the normal conjugation pattern for verbs ending in er, but is actually irregular in the yo pronoun. Yo sé means I know, and make sure to put an accent on sé, because without the accent, you will have an indirect object pronoun that will have multiple definitions that have to do with oneself. Tu sabes means you know how to do something, which is factual. Él sabe, he knows how to do something. Nosotros sabemos, we know. Vosotros sabéis, y'all know, and ellos saben, they know. Try not concentrating on these pronouns because they're not that useful in conversation, but like I said at the beginning, the verb saber refers to factually knowing something, part of which includes actions which are factually known. The best way that I can explain saber without any confusion is through the verb ser. Ser means to be, as in having factual traits about oneself, and so the same idea works for the verb saber because it refers to factually knowing information. For instance, if I say a sentence like, yo sé cómo hablar español, I'm factually saying that I know how to speak Spanish because it's a language that I've mastered over time, and now I know how to speak it. Just like with the verb ser, you cannot change any factual traits about oneself, the same way you cannot forget the factual information you know or know how to do. If I say a sentence like, tú sabes el tiempo, I'm saying that you factually know the time, because time is something factual to know, and you cannot change that fact. If I say a sentence like, él sabe cómo nadar, I'm saying that he factually knows how to swim, meaning that he cannot change that fact about swimming. He knows how to swim and will not forget anything. And with examples that involve factually knowing how to do something, like, yo sé cómo hablar inglés, tú sabes cómo tocar el piano, and él sabe cómo cocinar bien, Spanish actually has a convenient way of putting phrases together so that they don't repeat unnecessary words by eliminating the word como from the sentence. Visually looking at the phrases in English and putting them in Spanish, I know how to speak Spanish, you know how to play the piano, and he knows how to cook well, you don't need to add the adverb como within the sentences. The reason why Spanish does that is to eliminate repetition of words, because when you think about it, saying a phrase like I know to speak Spanish sounds sort of understandable on its own without the need of the word that specifies the action. So just simply remember that you won't need the adverb como in Spanish because the act of knowing how to do something is already clear enough in Spanish. Overall, the verb saber applies to knowing factual information and factually knowing how to do something, and is actually a very essential verb in Spanish, allowing you to understand how to navigate your way around forms of speech. Once you have understood how to work with this verb, understanding the verb after saber will be a lot easier, because normally educators will teach both verbs at once, which generally causes confusion between students, and so the verb conocer is for the video after this one. This has been the verb saber in Spanish. Thank you for watching this video, and hopefully I made your learning just a bit simpler.